right, here we go. All right, guys. Hey, contractors, business owners, we are live across platforms right now, and I want to thank you for joining in on this amazing day. Hey, look, every business rises and falls on leadership, period. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And yes, I'm sitting here once again. I was going to come to you from the studio today, but well, I just looked outside and I'm like, man, the weather's beautiful. The sun is out. So why don't I just hang out on the patio again and have a chat with you guys? So hope you don't mind. Hope you're not squished in an office somewhere. I'm not drinking my Topo Chico today. I actually have this weird energy drink with protein that Rochelle brought me, and it's pretty interesting. So I'll be sipping on that. Maybe you're sipping on something tasty as well. So look, in our businesses, we can have the best systems, we can have the best marketing, we can have the best product and deliver, but if our leadership is weak, it's all going to crumble. Because look, here's the truth. And unless you want to build a business where you're a solopreneur and it's just you, if it's just you, maybe you don't really need leadership other than self-leadership. But if you want to build a team, and so many contractors and small business owners that I talk to, it's going to take a team for them to build the business that they want. Now, again, some people just want to build a business, but in reality, we want to build a life and a legacy. And if we are slaves to our businesses, then we're just gonna be stuck in there in the engine room, if you will, all the time, and we're never going to get to enjoy life and really leave the legacy that we want. Now, some people, their passion in life is craftsmanship. Okay, and if you just absolutely love craftsmanship, if that's your thing, then don't listen to me when I say you've got to build teams. Okay, because that's that's your values. But I'm speaking to the great majority of the small business owners, the contractors that I work with. They have gotten their business off the ground, and they've gotten busy, and they've built a busyness. And all of a sudden it closes in because you have to be Superman. You have to be Superman in your company. And guess what? When we're first starting our business and we can solve every problem, we're the expert on the job site, we're the expert in the office, we're the expert in the marketing and the social media and all the everything, it kind of feels good to be the Superman. It feels good to be the Superman, the smartest person in the room. I tell you what, one day I looked up and I'm like, Superman needs a vacation. Can you be Superman for a while? I'm done being Superman. I want you to be Superman. Are you okay with that? Okay. I want you to be Superman because I want a vacation. And most everybody comes to this point where like, man, I don't want to be Superman anymore. I'm sick of being the linchpin, the go-to. I have to solve every problem. I have to constantly answer the phones. And so then we start dreaming like, okay, why did we start this business? What kind of life do we want to build? And do we want this business to serve our life? Or do we want our life to serve our business? Well, friends, I'm building my business, or I've built my business to serve my life. Okay? And in doing so, I had to create a business that has a thriving culture where people like working there. They get to do what they love doing, and they get to get paid for it in an encouraging and positive atmosphere, and they get compensated well, and we're delivering a great client experience. And that helped me get freedom. Again, I'm sitting here out on the patio talking to you guys by choice. I love doing this. That's my calling in life, is to raise up leaders and leaders of leaders. And I believe that you as a business owner, as a manager, you are in a place of influence, and the decisions you make And the power you have in the lives of all of your team is incredible. And if I can deposit something into your life to make you a better leader, all of the people around you are going to benefit. And so you don't have to be my coaching client to take something away from me, okay? I want to give you guys this stuff for free. I want to make a difference in your life so that you can make your part of the world a better place. Because I think that people need to be living in this little small business prison that I call contractor prison. But there's not enough people teaching us how to run businesses out there. We get in, we start with our blood, our sweat, our tears, and we get this certain level of success, and then boom, it's too much for us. And it becomes overwhelming. And we're too busy so many times to even take time for personal growth. And it ought not to be that way, and that's what I'm seeking to change. Okay, I can't change everybody's life, I can't change the world, but what I can do is I can change the world for a small quantity of people, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And look, so if we're going to have this dream of this better life, and I don't know what freedom looks like for you. You know, I talked to someone earlier, they're like, I don't know, I've never looked at, what does freedom look like for me? Well, hey, why don't you grab your wife? Why don't y'all take a few hours away from the kids? And why don't y'all dream? Why don't y'all dream together? Get your husband, wife, y'all go, and hey, what are we building? Why did we start this business? How is this business going to make our lives better? Is this business making our lives better? Or is it dragging us down, grinding us down, burning us out, putting a wedge between us? See, friends, it doesn't have to be that way. And the rate of divorce, there was a study done, and within a certain age group, I don't remember the age group, it was pretty young people, and the rate of divorce in entrepreneurs was like, I think 3 times the average of everybody else. Why is that? That's because business owners carry this weight, and they don't know how to deal with it, and how this business grows, and it's this heavy burden that you're carrying around all the time. And you guys know all the pains, the late nights, the weekends, the sleepless nights, the worry, the taxes, the payroll, the cash flow, the people problems, the warranty problems, all that stuff. Y'all know that stuff. The solution is to become a better leader. And that's the SOS framework, self, others, and systems that I developed and that I teach. And so, look, if our leadership is weak, everything's going to crumble around us. And let's get smarter so we can work smarter. How about that? So at my company, Phillips Home Improvements, leadership, it's not a title, it's a calling. It's like the backbone. It's the glue. It's the driving force, and it keeps us growing. And I believe that everybody has the potential to be a leader at some level and in some area. So, today I want to walk you through what I call the Phillips way of leadership. And it's basically a list of principles that define how we lead, and the systems and the frameworks that guide us at Phillips Home Improvements. And so now I'm going to just kind of laugh at myself. I keep saying we at Phillips Home Improvements because these days there's very little that I do there other than have a few one-on-one meetings with some high level leaders there. So, but the culture is sustained, and the culture is it's growing and improving in my absence. And, so many times when an owner steps away from the business, things spiral down pretty quick. And it used to be that way in my old company. I say my old company, the Phillips 1.0. Now we're at the 2.0. That's what we call it, the Phillips 2.0. So, leadership is the backbone. It's the backbone. And it's not some temporary thing, a temporary role. It's not a superficial title. It's literally it's like the glue that holds our organization together. And it's like a force that's pushing us forward. And, without strong leadership, systems are going to break, accountability is going to break down, and people are going People are going to stagnate. Culture is going to become toxic. And so I want to share with you some things that we believe about leadership at Phillips Home Improvements. And the first one is this, and that is that trust is the currency of business. Trust is the currency of business. And in reality, it's more than the currency of business. It's the currency of relationships. Trust in your marriage. Trust between you and your employees. Trust, and this is two-way trust, by the way. Trust between you and your clients, you and your vendors. Trust needs to be two ways. And without trust, progress just comes to a grinding halt. But with trust, progress speeds up. A lot of times they say, business, we can move at the speed of cash. Well, you know what you can also move at? The speed of trust. When there's trust on a team, decisions get made so much quicker, and things happen so much quicker. And leaders earn trust through leaders earn trust through integrity, through clear communication, and here's one that's so hard for so many business owners: consistency. A lot of business owners, inconsistency is the only consistency in their life. Okay? They're risk takers. They go out, they can go fight the battle, they can go start something new, but what they can't do is be consistent for their people, and that's what their people need. And so that's a challenge for a lot of leaders. And what it does is it breaks trust. Even though your heart's in the right place, when you can't follow through or you're inconsistent with your people, it breaks down your credibility, and it breaks the trust, and it slows things down. Okay, so first one was trust is the currency of business. Here's the second one. We say this: lead from the heart and manage by the numbers. So, empathy inspires people. It shows you care, and that's when we say leading from the heart. But data is what's going to drive results. What you can measure, you can improve. And leaders balance emotional intelligence with measurable outcomes, KPIs, so they can really have success. And what is emotional intelligence? And if you've read on the subject, you know that emotional intelligence is first of all, it's the ability to recognize your emotions, and secondly, the ability to regulate your emotions. And then outwardly, it's the ability to recognize the emotions that others are experiencing, especially in a conversation, and then manage that relationship well based on that. That's what emotional intelligence is, and that's something that is a growth area for me. I want to become much more emotionally intelligent than I am right now. Okay, and maybe some of you guys can empathize with me right there. So, but yeah, lead from the heart, manage by the numbers. Okay, and here's the point number 3, principle number 3. People are different, but here's the beautiful thing: people are predictably different. And when we understand the predictable nature of human behavior through personality insights, we can better communicate with people. We can better understand people. We can understand some of their inner motives and drives. What drives each person? What scares each person? What excites each person? And that's what DISC is. It measures, it's predictive of behavior, and it's how someone sees the world, and you can predict their emotions and their emotions and their fears and what they get excited about, the type of challenges. And so when you can figure out the predictable nature of people, it is a game changer. Okay, and so these first 3 things, if you can just dig in on these first 3 things, and the first one so far was that trust is the currency of business. The second one is lead from the heart and manage by the numbers, and the third one is that people are different, but they're predictably different. Those 3 things, friends, can be absolute game changers in your leadership, in your life. Okay, number 4. Leadership is the lid. A team can only rise as high as its leader's capacity. And this is, John Maxwell is known for his law of the lid and the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. So, hey, by the way, I want to pause for just a second and let you guys know that if you want to learn more about these type of subjects, okay, you can join us at the Contractor Freedom Summit, which is October 27 through 29, right here in person in Allen, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. Would love to have you here. We've got a fantastic group of contractors that are joining us, and we're just going to pour in, and everybody's going to leave not only inspired, but equipped, sharpened, improved, with tools and frameworks to go back and implement in their business and their life to make their little part of the world a better place. And hey, and if you stick around to the end of today, we're going to have another drawing and give away another free ticket. And that's worth $1,497. And so how do you get entered? Well, how do you get entered? You just ask a question, make a comment, and we will put you in the drawing, and we're going to give this away today before we end this live stream. And hey, by the way, if you find this, if you find my content here valuable, I want to ask you, first thing I want to ask you is, follow, subscribe. Now, the second thing I would like to ask you is, would you click the share button and share this with either on your own feed, or share it, in a direct message to someone who needs to hear this, your other business owner friends, or your spouse even. Share this with someone and help improve someone else's life as well, okay? Okay, so back to point number 4. The leader is the lid. And if we're not continually rising as leaders and growing and lifting our own lid, our team is going to be stuck down here, because your team is never going to outgrow you. And then one day you're going to hire a manager, and that manager is going to have a leadership level up here, doesn't realize that they're above you, and they're going to leave you because all leaders want to follow a leader that's a stronger leader than them. So don't let the good people leave you because you haven't grown as a leader. Grow as a leader. And hey, by the way, if you have any questions, I want to, and by the way, Adrian, thank you for sharing, and thank you for the comment. If you've got a question, drop your questions in the comments, and I will answer them. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Number 5, the leader sets the tone and the pace. Now, your business has a cadence, and it has a certain level of energy, and different teams are different, and it needs to be different in different businesses. But you are going to set the rhythm for your team and the energy level of your team. And if you don't set that, do you think it's going to get better if you stop setting that? Is it going to get better without you? Probably not. It's probably going to get worse. So when you bring that, okay, you've got to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. We all know that. And set clear expectations, and you have to be highly engaged with your people. These things are critical. You set the tone and the pace for your team. Number 6, we identify and unleash native genius. Friends, could you imagine? I'm just trying to think of an example here. Wouldn't you much rather have Michael Jordan on your basketball team instead of Michael Phelps? They have different skills, and you could call it genius, whatever. But in our businesses, we've got people on our team that somewhere in them, they're pretty close to a genius at something. And when we can identify what that is, oh man, I've got this project over here and it needs a person that can XYZ, whatever it is, and that person has that skill. Hey, let them rip at it. Give it to them, okay? Leaders recognize, they cultivate each person's unique strengths, or you could call it their native genius. And it's back to what we talked about the other day, aligning roles with natural talents. And when individuals operate in their zone of genius or their strength zone, it's like their contributions are just like compounded. They're like exponentially compounded when we can get the right people doing the right thing. And everybody, here's the thing, I don't remember who said this. Maybe you can comment for me and tell me who said this, because I don't remember. Everybody loves doing the work they were created to do. Everybody loves doing the work they were created to do. I was created to teach leadership, to raise up leaders. And that's what I love doing. I'm sitting here doing this for free. Nobody's paying me to do this. What would what are those things that you or your people would do for free just to get to do it? There's a lot of good people out there with untapped talents because they're sitting in jobs that don't match them and they don't have opportunity to use what they're made for. So I want to encourage you to figure out what your people are made for and talk to them. Hey, and here, let me just give you a good question. Here's the question you could ask them. Hey, if your friends were to say that you had a superpower, what would they say your superpower is? Now notice I didn't say what's your superpower. I said, what would your friends say that your superpower is? You may get some silly answers, but you'll probably get some really good answers. I think that would be great. Okay? Unleash some creative genius and let your people just take off. Okay? All right, number 7. And by the way, does anybody have a question? Post your questions up about leadership. What are your leadership questions, your leadership challenges, your leadership problems? Let me know. But number 7, good leaders, they take more than their fair share of the blame and less than their fair share of the credit. A few years ago, I had this manager that every time we would come to a leadership meeting, this manager, when it was their time to share or whatever, would say, well, I did this, I got this done, I got that done. When I knew for a fact it was really the team that got it done. And I get it. The leader naturally gets more of the credit, okay? Naturally gets more of the credit. That's why leaders have to be intentional about recognizing the people, even though they're on their team and they delegated the work and they're responsible for it. Leaders have to be intentional about giving credit where credit's due. And I want to tell you what, that manager was not being a good leader and did not last very long at my company after that. Because good leaders take less than their fair share of the credit. They ensure that their people get their fair share of the credit. And I don't know if it was Bear Bryant that said this, but he said, you know what? He's talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide. If you're a football fan, he said when we lost the game, I would say we lost. When we won the game, I'd say they won the game. The team won the game. Or sometimes he would even say, you know what? I failed to prepare them to win the game today. So I want you to think about how does that play out in your company and in your leadership? Are you good at taking more than your fair share of the blame and less than your fair share of the credit? I want to tell you what, when I got someone come up to me, maybe it's I can just think back in the day, something didn't get done right on a paint job, and I'm talking to the crew chief, and he's like, yeah, my helper, he didn't follow instructions, or my helper this and that. I'm like, no. I don't care what your helper did. This was your responsibility. He should have said, I'm sorry, boss. I'm going to get that taken care of right now. I let you down. Whatever it is, right? Don't ever throw your people under the bus. Don't ever throw your people under the bus. As the leader, you take the blame. And as the leader, you give them the credit publicly. Because the public, the others, the outsiders, they're not going to give them the credit. They're going to give you the credit. And you better slice it up and distribute it to your people because they deserve it. And when you give them the credit, they're going to see what kind of leader you are. They're going to see, they're going to feel it by the way you talk about them and the way you handle this. Okay? This is about humility, friends. It's about humility. Humility builds trust and loyalty, and it helps, bring the team together. All right. Number 8. Good leaders make the tough decisions. And look, friends, delaying a decision rarely makes it easier, rarely makes the problem smaller. Decisions, great leaders they get the input they need and then they make a decision. Sometimes they make mistakes. All right, pause for a second. Gabriel has a question. He says, have you had a conversation with a team member who has the skill and potential to do better? And you are talking to them and so excited to show them a better future, but they show no excitement. Oh, absolutely. Many times. I literally, I believe that to be unclear is to be unkind. And I once had a salesperson, and he was so talented in his ability to talk to people and build rapport, but he was absolutely lazy, and he could barely put gas in his vehicle to get back and forth. His family was struggling financially. And I looked at him and I said, hey, can I be a little more direct and a little bit less nice for just a moment? He said, sure. I said, you're the greatest waste of potential that I've ever seen in my life. You have all of these skills and you're not applying anything to go make a better life for your family. And you have this opportunity here at this company to make some really good money. And he thought about it for a bit. And it didn't make a difference in his life that I could tell. And so he wasn't there too much longer. And but my job as a leader is not to be nice. It's to speak the truth in a loving way. Maybe that wasn't the most loving way, but it was direct and it was honest. So yes, but good leaders make tough decisions. If you don't make the tough decisions, your people are going to see you as weak. And here's the thing, when you make a tough decision, if you made the wrong decision, you'll quickly know and you can reverse it. It's not like we're doing brain surgery here, guys, in small business. It's not brain surgery. Most everything is fixable. What isn't fixable is you don't make the decision. Good leaders make the tough decisions. All right, number 9. A leader must articulate a clear and compelling vision. And friends, my initial vision for my company, it was terrible. I told you, it was like, hey guys, there's a great opportunity. Let's go make a lot of money. And I so attracted the wrong type of people. I attracted the wrong type of people. And look, the leader needs to articulate a vision of a better future that your team members, that will inspire them to say, oh man, I want to be a part of that. That sounds amazing. I can see myself being a part of that and pouring my efforts into that. We've got to know where we're going. And if you don't know where you're going, your people will not have a good reason to stay working for you other than a paycheck. And by the way, if your people are going to leave for $1 more, it wasn't the dollar they were leaving for. It's because you didn't give them a compelling reason to stay. All right, number 10. Leadership, it requires resilience. It requires adaptability. And look, So many people don't like change. And when you're running a business, you're taking risks. Sometimes you're skating on thin ice. Sometimes I talked to a guy today. He's like, Jason, I don't know. I'm doing something new in my business and it could actually bankrupt me. He's taking the risk and he's prepared to take the risk. A lot of people are like, no, I can't do that. I can't take the risk. You got to take some risk and you've got to be resilient because there's going to be setbacks. And you know what the biggest risk is? The biggest risk is not taking risks. And you're going to have good times and bad times. Good people are going to leave you. You're going to invest in people and they're going to leave you. You're going to have this new initiative. You're going to have a bad season, make a mistake, lose some money, burn your reputation on accident, whatever. But good leaders, they're resilient. They bounce back. And their team sees how they bounce back, and they teach their teams how to face these challenges and how to be resourceful and fix things, and they teach their team how to the resourcefulness to thrive even when they're at the Contractor Freedom Summit or some other event, right? Okay. Leader number 11. Leaders, they celebrate wins, not just the big ones, but also the small ones, okay? A lot of times, I want to tell you what happens a lot of times if you started your company, you did it with the grit, you've worked so hard, you've worked so many hours, nobody can work as hard as you, and you can do it. And sometimes we hold back the attaboys and the congratulations and the high fives for our team until they do something big enough for us to consider it significant. But friends, that's not the way psychology works. You need to recognize and celebrate the small wins of your people, and then that's going to give them courage to try more. And that's going to give them inspiration to continue pushing forward. You can't just wait till they accomplish something significant to celebrate them. Celebrate the wins, big and small, okay? And that recognition, it's going to fuel their morale, and it's going to honestly it reinforces our fruits and roots framework. I want to show you something here. Okay, this is a basic. If you can see on the screen, this is a basic drawing of an apple tree with the roots under the ground. Okay, and with your employees, if you want them to bear fruit for your company, then you've got to make sure that you're watering their roots, because the health of a tree is determined by its roots. Okay, you need to be watering the roots. You need to be spending some time with your people. Okay, spending some time with them, pouring into them, treating them like a person that has a future, that has hopes and dreams, rather than just a cog in a machine and just a human resource, which we're going to talk about human resources another day here real quick, okay? Because that's a hot button of mine. You've got to celebrate those wins, big and small, all right? Now, number 12, as a leader, friends, listen to me. Integrity is non-negotiable. You can't cut corners. You can't tell white lies, and you got to stay out of the gray area. It's called being above reproach. Leaders need to align their decisions with their company values. Our company values at Phillips are faith, family, and focus. Faith, family, and focus. And every decision we make, we line it up with that. And when we talk about family, what we're talking about is not only our team family. And why do we call ourselves a family? It's business, right? No, you're not supposed to. Well, I don't believe that, okay? We call ourselves a family because we truly care about each other. I care about my team members. I care that they are not just making money and productive, but that they are growing. I care about what their dreams. I celebrate with them when they buy a house or they gain their citizenship or whatever it is, or have a baby. I care about them. And we treat them like family, and also we consider our clients in a extended family, our clients, right? But when it comes down to a decision of, am I going to let down the money or am I going to let down the people? The people are going to take priority. And many, many times I've chosen people over profits. And in the short term, it hurts financially. But in the long term, I invested in someone and they saw what I did. And that adds a lot more money in the bank, not just to that one person, but to your entire team and everybody that sees what you're doing. Okay? So you've got to be a leader that exemplifies and sets the standard of integrity. Look, don't water down the paint. Okay? Don't cut corners. If the customer overpays, give them their money back. All right? And here's a hot button. Man, this is a hot button. You guys can flame me if you want, but I'm going to stand my ground. Are you getting paid in cash? Are you giving them a cash discount? So they'll pay you in green cash so you don't have to report it on taxes? There's a lot of people that do that. A lot of people that do that to not pay the taxes. Well, friends, I believe that when we maintain our integrity and we follow the rules, I believe God honors that. And I believe that we can, while others are cheating the system and cheating the rules, I believe that my business can be blessed while I'm doing the right thing. And that's the choice I'm going to make. Okay? And I want to encourage you to consider that for yours as well. All right, number 13. True leaders, they multiply leadership, mentor others, develop others, and it creates like this ripple effect. And the team begins to get stronger for generations. Okay, and you've got to be raising up leaders, because as your company grows, you can't train. There's going to be too many people for you to train. You need to multiply your leadership, and you know. If you're not multiplying your leadership, you're going to raise up leaders, and what are they going to raise up? You got to teach them how to be leaders, not just how to do their job, but how to be leaders of people. We are in the people business, friends. Okay. Hey, by the way, if you have a question, please drop it. I will. I'd love to hear your questions or your concerns or even your challenges regarding leadership. All right. Okay. Now, number 14. Leaders, they create clear systems of accountability. Look, when expectations are transparent, people know how to direct their effort. They know what they can do, and they know what they can be autonomous doing. And your employees want to have some autonomy, okay, friends? And clear accountability is vital in our organizations. Number 15, great leaders value diverse perspectives. Okay, I can't tell you how many leaders I've met that won't listen to someone with a different opinion. They won't listen to someone with a different opinion, and they won't have healthy debate. And friends, I believe that I love listening to people that think differently than me. Maybe they've come from a different background or took a different route, and they think different from me. And on the surface, I could get, oh, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a bad person. I could say that. But you know what? If I listen to them, I might just learn something. Matter of fact, I may get new information and make a new decision that changes my mind if I hear someone else's perspective. Look, I don't know everything. I don't purport to know everything. And if you're a closed-minded leader, people are going to see that you're closed-minded, and you're going to be very limited. So we need to encourage healthy debate in our companies. It's going to help people collaborate. Can we have a healthy debate, still disagree, and still move forward? Absolutely. On a healthy team, you can. My team does it quite often, actually. If you're going to tap into the collective intelligence of your team, you've got to value diverse perspectives. You got to let people share their voice safely without feeling like they're going to be blacklisted or fired or get in trouble, something like that. All right, any questions? Any questions for anybody? Oh man, I must be explaining everything absolutely perfectly today because there's not many questions today. Could you at least give me a thumbs up and just let me know that you're here? Give me a thumbs up and at least just let me know that you're here today. I know you're out there somewhere. All right, I know, Shirley, I know there's more than my mom and my wife and a couple employees watching today, Shirley. Okay. All right, number 16. Readers are leaders, and leaders are readers. Readers are leaders, and leaders are readers. When's the last time you read a book? I know I don't read books. I listen to podcasts. Yeah, podcasts are great too, okay? But a book has a lot more thought put into every page than just a podcast where someone is speaking. And so I want to encourage you to read books. You can listen to them on Audible. What I do is my preferred method is I listen and read at the same time, and my mind stays with it. I keep engaged and I learn. And I go back and I make notes and I make notes and I make notes from my notes and I make tasks and to-do lists. And I reread books because and I'll share some with you here in a few minutes that are some of my favorite books. But I read books about leadership, about finance, about people and communication. I read all kinds of like personal development books because I want to continually be a better leader. I'm forever a student of leadership, of people skills, of sales. Okay? So I want to encourage you to prioritize personal growth. Be a learner, a student. Be a forever student, okay? Be a forever student. And it's, when you learn something new, it's just gonna give you new ideas and how you can adapt and make your business better. When you make your business better, it's gonna get better. When you become a better leader, it's gonna make your employees' lives better, okay? So now let's talk about this. That was 16, okay? But let's just talk about, sustainability in leadership. And what do I mean by that? And here's my question. I like to say this. Is it really leadership if it doesn't last? My team knows what that means. So let me put that in a few different words. A great leadership doesn't fade when you leave the room, because there's systems and there's people to take your place. And one of the first things that great leaders do is they start raising up other leaders around them, because they don't want to get passed up for a promotion. They want to make sure someone is prepped to take their role. So they're not afraid that they're going to be usurped. They're like planning to be promoted and making way. Okay, hey, we got a question here. Lawrence says, what does lead from the heart and manage from the numbers mean? Yeah, it's a great question, Lawrence. What that means is we lead from the heart, meaning we see our employees as real people, not as cogs in a machine, not as a resource to be managed, okay? We see them as people that need to be led. We count them as family. We care about their well-being. We care about their dreams and their future and their family life. We care about all of those things. And so, but we're gonna manage from the numbers, which means, look, so here's the way we might explain this in the hiring process, okay? Well, Lawrence, let me tell you, Lawrence, how things work here. Okay, we value people at our company. We value people. We believe that we honestly believe that people are more important than money. People in relationships are more important than money, more valuable than money. Okay, but we also know that we can't hire and retain great people unless we continue to make a profit. So over here, in every position in our company, we have these KPIs and metrics that measure the performance. If we don't make sure that our company is doing well, we can't keep paying people and growing and building a better future for everybody. So one of the ways that we care about the team as a whole is we ensure that in every position we are measuring based on metrics. And if someone can't meet those metrics, we're going to coach them and help them. But ultimately, if they can't perform, they can't stay. That doesn't mean we don't care about them or they're not valuable. It just means that maybe it's not a good fit. Okay? That's why we spend so much time up front trying to make sure that we have a good fit before we just hire someone. That's why we do these psychometric assessments and such. That's the way we might explain it in the hiring process. Okay, Desiree has a question. Desiree says, hey Jason, we have what we think would be a great fit, but his disc is a little crazy. What do you think we should do? He is definitely a culture fit and the energy is there. He's a heck yes in every other way than his disc. Okay, that's a great question. So there's a couple. One, you've determined that this person, I think it's a he, would be a good fit on your team. Would be a good fit on your team. The question is are they a good fit for that role that you're hiring them for? There's a difference. A lot of times we interview, or Jennifer will interview people, and you're like, oh my gosh, this person would be amazing, but we just don't have a spot for them. Well, when I found Jennifer, I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady's amazing. We don't have a spot for her. I made the decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to create a position because I'm not going to let her pass by. People like this don't come by often. I'm going to make a way to get her on my team. And so I created a position for her. And I'm not telling you to do that in this situation, but if you're considering this person for a particular role, you need to know that if the role that you have them for doesn't energize them, it's going to wear them down. It's going to drain them. And some people can go to work and go home drained every day, and they go, maybe they go play golf and get recharged, whatever. Some people can adapt more and they can play that role on a continual basis. But most people, they're going to burn out. And what they're going to do is the parts of the job that are less appealing to them are the areas that are going to slide. And then you're going to have performance problems. And then you're going to start having accountability conversations. And then you're going to just tell yourself this person isn't motivated. And then, well, you know what? They're lazy. And it's this downward spiral when in reality, the problem started up here. You put them in a role that wasn't a good match for them. That's my 2 cents. Now, you could have your boss hop on a phone call with me, and he's got the hotline. He's in the inner circle, and we could go over it together. Okay, and you're welcome to hop on the call too, if he says it's okay. All right, we have another question. Matt Petro says, with the family concept, we can't really manage family out. It's hard to talk about the company as family and at the same time having to part ways with non-performing family members. Okay, good point. That's why it's so important to make it real clear up front. Let's say you are hiring a family, like a brother, a sister, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a nephew, a niece, parent. It's so important. Look, I know a lot of contractors that are bound up with family working at their company, and they're like, well, if I fire this person, it's gonna cause turmoil in the family. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem with family. Family can be great. Okay, absolutely love having my kids work for me. I made my kids start from the bottom, every one of them. I made them earn their own respect. Learn, appreciate the process, appreciate the employees, appreciate the customer, appreciate the dollar, the hard work. I didn't just give anybody, I didn't just anoint anyone as manager. Nobody came in as manager. No, I've seen that fail too many times. But when you hire a family member, you've got to make sure that they're aligned with the role. But 9 times out of 10, when business owners hire a family member, they're not aligned to the role. They think that, well, this is my family member. Nobody's going to care about me in this company as much as my family member does. And so we're going to hire them. Then we're going to put them in a bad role. And then they're going to have poor performance. And we're going to ask, why aren't they getting the details right? Or why aren't they getting things done? Or why aren't they calling customers? Or whatever it is. And then we end up having to part ways. It all starts because we got it wrong at first base. But however, if you decide to hire an employee, hire a family member as an employee, you've got to set some extremely clear boundaries. Hey, Mike, listen, I don't want anything to ever get between us and our family relationship. Family is well above business. And look, I've got this business over here, and I need you to know that this business exists. Okay, we've got to make a profit. We got to consistently make a profit. And every single payroll dollar that this company spends has to bring a measurable ROI. And so the position I'm hiring you for that we're talking about, here's those measurable ROIs. And so not only this position, if you fill this position, you've got to be able to continue hitting these KPIs to continue to work here. And also, in addition to that, you've got to be a great team player. You've got to come in here and you've got to respect me as the boss, just like any other employee. Because if you can't do that, it's going to be a toxic cancer to our culture, and I can't have that. I would rather not hire you at all than have something blow up. Now, if you want to come in, I think you could do a great job at this one particular one, but you've got to know what these KRAs are and what these KPIs are, and you've got to commit to being a great team leader and treating me with respect to my face and behind my back in front of all the employees. Now, if we can do that, let's move forward. Matt, I hope that helped answer your question. Okay, so back to what I was saying before is, if the leadership fizzles when you go on vacation, is it really leadership at all? And so we're going to touch on that probably tomorrow, about the dance of leadership and management that we must do in a small business. And so, look, systemization, just to keep moving along, so we're about to run out of time. Systemization, it's gonna help keep your progress going. At Phillips, we embed leadership into our playbooks, our training, and our processes, the way we do things, it's the 4 R's, has to be written, it has to be rehearsed, it has to be repeated, it has to be reviewed, and therefore updated. And so that's what that means. And so, when you systemize your leadership, it's going to outlive your presence, and that way it's going to keep going. And that's what I've done. I've set a great example for my team at Phillips. I've raised up leaders. I've given them the authority, the key, so to say, and they're running with it. And that blesses me so much. And so, leadership, friends, it's not just about driving results. It's about creating an environment where people actually want to bring their best to your team every day. Think about that. Creating an environment where people want to bring their best to your company every day. And how do we do that at Phillips? Well, we have structured feedback. We have regular one-on-ones. We talk goals and challenges and growth. We have strengths-based developments. We try to assign work, and we've reassigned work based on people's natural strengths, using their DISC performance, their DISC insights, and looking at their performance. We love recognizing our team, both in our weekly team meetings, but also in our quarterly all hands meetings, which I actually got an all hands meeting here tomorrow, actually out on the patio. Can't wait to meet with my team. We're going to be talking about how we're going to finish this year strong, and I'm so excited about that. But that's another story. But we want to make sure that everybody feels seen and appreciated. And the fourth thing we do is we constantly remind them of the vision and the mission. Okay, we want them to feel connected to how their work is going to impact a big, better future for everybody. And so as a leader, we want them to feel seen and supported. We want them to feel significant. Look, if they weren't significant, why do we even need them? They're significant. They're important. Make sure that they feel that they're important. Okay? And water their roots and help the fruits grow by watering their roots. Okay, friends? So I think we're about out of time here. I was gonna talk about a couple more things, and I think we'll just put those off till tomorrow. All right, we've got more to talk about. And I love sharing with you guys. And again, if you have a friend, business owner, or leader that needs to hear this information, will you just take a moment and click the share button? Just click the share button and share it to your page or via text message or whatever, and definitely hit follow if you want to get notified of more of my content. I want to invite you guys to come and join me at the upcoming Contractor Freedom Summit. Again, it's like 12 days away. October 27 through 29, right here in Allen, Texas. We still have some seats available, and we'd love to have you join us. And but for now, let's go ahead and Aiden, I think we've got a drawing to do. We're going to give away another ticket today, absolutely free. We're going to do a drawing. And okay, let's see who's got it here. Who's it going to be? And if you've already purchased a ticket and you win, you're going to get an additional ticket that you can bring another team member for, or you can give it away, or you can. Okay, Milan Painting has already won. Okay, you can't win twice. You can't win twice. That was one of the rules too. So we got to spin again. All right. Here we go. Who's it going to be? No way. Matt Petros? Heck yeah. Okay. Matt, dude, I hope you can join us. Here's what I want you to do. Just send a message right now to Contractor Freedom, okay? And I want you to just give them your email and your phone number. I'm going to have someone reach out to you and talk to you about this here today, okay? All right, for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for joining in. I will see you guys tomorrow. And let me see what time are we going on tomorrow? Tomorrow we are going to be going live at noon Central Time, 12 p.m. Central Time, lunchtime tomorrow. I hope you can join us. Okay, God bless you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.